Hi, welcome to Garden Guns. Today, as part of the 125 years of Wehrach air rifles, although I don't think they made them for 125, but 125 years of Wehrach, the question I am trying to answer today is old classic, that one, point at the right one, Neil, old classic or new classic. So for today's videos I have got, is it called a brace? Anyway, I've got two HW35s. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they look almost identical. But there is a good few years, good few years between them. Stay. Right, this old girl is 52 years old, as far as I'm aware, born in 1973. So only slightly younger than me, and older than my wife. It's got a leather piston seal inside it, which we'll talk about later. It has got open sights normally, and I think this is the first time it's ever had a scope. Looking at it, it's ever had a scope on the top. This one, however, although relatively similar looking, feels slightly different. Talk about that in a couple of minutes. It's got a shorter barrel. This one's in 2.2, this one's in 1.77, and I'm pretty sure that this has had a tuning kit put in it, or some form of new spring and a new spring guide. Probably had a degrease, and I think the piston's been short stroked on this, judging by the way it fires. This feels far more like one of my tuned air rifles compared to, say, the other HW35s I've tried. It's got no buoying, it's got a very sharp recoil cycle and a very, very quick lockup. Whereas this old girl has got quite a lazy firing cycle, a little bit of buoying, a little bit of muzzle flip, and that piston seal does seem to make a bit of that leather piston seal makes quite a lot of difference to the end of the firing cycle on this. So hopefully when I do the firing point, that will come across on video. What else can I say? Let me grab a pellet, because I'm going to see if I can get this one to come out on camera. Put it down. So this is so old, it doesn't even have a safety on it. There is no operable safety on this rifle. So in the words of more than one of our American brothers or sisters, this is your safety. There's no crossbolt safety, no automatic safety. There is no safety at all. And, so if I can get this on camera, it's one of the ones before the cocking linkage was done, so it still clicks. See if I can do it. There we go. Which, I'm gonna lose them all. Rubbish for hunting, as always, totally on my video production. Rubbish for hunting, the click, apparently. You went to cock it and, in the quiet of the early morning, when you're trying to get a little bunny or something, the click. And that upset more than a few shots, I'm led to believe. But for my purposes and for what I would use this rifle for, which is just basically fun, plinking and the joy of ownership, I quite like it, to be honest. What else can I say? So the other thing about this is, this fore end, even though it looks pretty much identical, doesn't feel as deep as this one does. Come on, Neil, don't do that. You know that's just going to fall off. This feels a lot chunkier in the foregrip, although for all intents and purposes it looks the same. And it also feels a pound or two heavier than that does. I have tried to sort of weigh it on a set of scales with me, but my scales aren't that good, and I'll weigh them 3 or 4 times and I'll get a different result by a couple of pounds every single time. So I haven't been able to come up with exactly whether that's true or not. What else can I say about it? Both have got the Wehrach record trigger. I mean, that's been going for ages. The other thing about the 35 is, if you're not familiar with it, it's got this really nice, once again, it's probably a bit Marmite. I really like it. It makes the cocking cycle really, really easy. You just basically pull that and the barrel starts dropping, and then it gives you a really nice lockup, which I think is genius. It's one of the things about the 35 that, you know, it's one of the things that makes it a classic in my opinion. I mean, for me, the 35 in this guise was the rifle that, you know, when I was, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, you know, I used to look through airgun magazines. The HW35 was the was like the top of the pile in terms of power and in terms of workmanship, in terms of just general quality. It was up, you know, it was, yeah, it was what you wanted. That and the Feinwerk Bauer, which one day I hopefully get hold of one to be able to do a comparison. But this was right up there. Although back then, you know, we used to consider it, you know, before the ages of easily available chronographs, you know, everybody used to think that this was top of the rung in terms of power. And then Feinwerk Bauer came along and basically pipped this, because these used to do, from what I understand, somewhere in the low 10, you know, high 9s, low 10s, which is what this one's currently doing. This one's currently doing high 8s, low 9s. But as I say, she's an old girl. She's got an old leather piston washer inside. And probably could do with a bit of TLC, to be honest, but not my rifle. So unfortunately, well, probably fortunately actually, because I'll probably ruin it. But yeah, not my place to do anything with. Right, let's get on to the shooting section, and then we'll do a bit of summing up, and yeah, see how I do. Right, so here we go. The 52-year-old versus the, oh, I don't know. Do you know what, I'm going to check the serial number when I do the summing up and find out exactly how old that is. But anyway, the 52-year-old rifle versus her younger daughter. 30 yards, centre target. Let's see how we do. Oh wow, that is really high. Not sure what happened there. That's more like it. I'm hoping that the sound of the firing cycle is coming across on camera, so you can hear the difference between this and the newer model, because it is quite different. Anyway, I think that is it's 4. Do you know what? Because that first shot was that was a random. I don't think that was me. I will chuck an extra one in. Of course, now the wind's coming up. Sorry, itchy face. Okay, there we go. That'll do for the old girl. Yeah, the firing cycle on that, the old HW35 is really interesting. And I don't know if it's because of that leather, pardon me, piston seal, but it's really sort of, it's really benign. Pardon me. At the end of the cycle, it's almost like it's cushioned compared to, say, the modern one. I hope it comes across on camera, but this rifle in comparison has got a real sort of clack, almost a sort of a high frequency yeah, real clack to it. And whereas that's got a sort of a slightly boingy recoil with a little bit of muzzle flip, the recoil on this is totally different. Right, let's go for let's do the bottom left. Oh man, after shooting one without a safety for a while, I totally forgot about the safety. That'll probably happen more than once. Right, let's try again. Settle down. Okay. So, hi, that's a surprise. Honestly, I did zero all these in a day or two ago. Two. Yeah, I hope that recoil, you know, the recoil noise, firing cycle noise is coming out on camera and you can pick up on the difference. This is grouping nowhere near as well as the... Okay, now as I gave the old girl an extra shot, and the majority of these ones have gone high, with one low, I think it's only fair that I stick an extra one downrange with this as well. That one's really high. Right, sorry, let's go and get the targets. So, how do we do? Well, surprisingly, because this is the first time it's happened, it's always going to go the wrong, go weird on camera, I think. I shot the old girl way better than I shot the new girl. I've checked the serial numbers on both of them. The old girl was born in 1973 and the new girl apparently was born in 2020. So there's a decent, there's a decent difference. There's just almost 50 years difference between the two of them. So yeah, I mean, to be fair to the new girl, I've shot her much better over the last couple of weeks. I don't know what's going on today. I'm just having I'm just having one of those days where, yeah, I just couldn't put it together shooting her today. I don't know what it was. Whereas, as I say, today I just seem to be shooting the old girl way better. So let's answer the question, which do I think's better? I don't think there's a correct answer to this. It really comes down to what you want from your rifle. This is like an old school classic car, whereas this one is like a modern remanufactured classic car. You know, somebody that basically, it'd be like if somebody rebirthed MG as a British car manufacturer and started making the MGB again with modern construction techniques, but effectively the same design and everything else. Then you'd end up with this, one that's built with modern materials, modern construction techniques. Yes, it'll have a lot of the characteristics of the original car, but it won't be quite the same. And I think that's the way to describe this. I know that this, I've said this has probably got a drop-in kit in it, and I think it's been short stroked just to take the power down to 10 foot-pounds to tame the recoil a little bit. You know, which does make this really super sweet to fire. I mean, the lockup is really, really quick on it, you know. Yeah, it does have a heck of a thwack though. Whereas this, with its leather piston seal in there, is a little bit boingy. It's got a little bit of flip. It's a little, and it's slower in its overall firing cycle, but it feels more like a warm jumper. You know, it's like a warm hug. You know, I don't know whether it's that leather, I think I said it in the shooting bit, I don't know if it's the leather piston seal, but at the end of the firing cycle it's almost like it's being cushioned, and it is very interesting and quite pleasant. I think the easiest way to look at it is why would you buy one of these rifles? There are plenty, I mean, they've been making them since, I think since sometime in the 50s. So there should be plenty, there are plenty of them out there second hand. The question is what sort of condition they're in. And I know, I mean, I went down to the shop today to pick up another rifle, to pick up my Lightning. And they had a couple on the wall, and they were, I mean, they're not far off the age of the old girl. And one of them, you know, one in 177, and it was doing 770 feet per second. So it was right up there in terms of the, in terms of its power level. This old girl is nowhere near that, but it's not been messed with in any way at all. Its internals are totally original, and it's still doing 8-9 foot-pounds, so it's not doing too badly. The new rifle, although I've said it's been I think it's been detuned down to 10 foot-pounds. The new ones are doing 11. 10 foot-pounds itself is no, it's no shabby power level. You can still hunt 25-30 yards with that. It's still going to do the job and dispatch quarry, and it's got a lot nicer, you know, it's got quite a benign recoil cycle to it. I think, you know, I think it comes, yeah, as I said, it's why would you own, why would you want to own one of these? I would choose this over this, because to me it's a classic. You know, it's like buying an original, I'm going to use MG again, it's like buying an original MGB, you know. It's a car my dad always wanted, and I'd love to own one for a few years, do you know what I mean? And, you know, it would be cool. I'd need to be a mechanic, and I would say maybe I'd need to be a little bit more of an airgun tinkerer than I am if I was going to have one of these and make the most out of it. Whereas I could buy one of these fresh out of the box today, and I could get pretty much 90% of the ownership experience and effectively have a rifle that is as good and as modern as my 95, and has more character. You know, and I think that probably would be the reason to buy a newer one. You know, if you were getting back into the sport, something, you know, if your granddad or your dad had owned one of these back in the day and you learned to shoot on it, and now you're getting back into it, then yeah, absolutely, crikey, go and buy a 35k. They are awesome bits of kit, and you know, got a lot of personality. They feel chunky, and you know, they're really good to hold. You know, they're good to shoulder. Yeah. The one you should own is the one that you feel the most comfortable about buying. I think that's the easiest way to describe it. I'm gonna use that. That's a cheeky get out way. That's not answering any questions at all, but I'm gonna leave it there, because yeah, I would own the new, I'd own the old one, but if I would have no problem in selling the new one to somebody that was getting back into the sport that really liked the 35. I would, without a shadow of a doubt, point them in that direction. So, old classic, new classic, you decide. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Yeah, sorry I didn't answer the question. And until the next video, stay safe and all the best.